Yes.
Substantial butts over the Hill project.
Yeah.
So can you post for it?
Yeah, they were asking about that. I'm like, I'm not committing on it.
Yeah, I think he could.
He did two alternatives. I don't know if that was cold storage or not. No, one of cold storage.
Yeah, they're
I
working.
think that would be great.
They're stripping all that ick off, so then we can fix them.
Yeah, yeah, it shouldn't take,
Yeah.
no,
But then
no,
you gotta get
no.
equipment.
Yeah,
Timing pads and stuff like that. Grind all that shit.
yep, yeah, we can do that easily, yep.
That's
And my
fine.
first one is
Yeah, I said,
the
those kids.
data center that Chesterton turned on, we ought to be talking to,
Yeah, and I told
because it'd be a great spot for them.
the young kids what to do.
Well, young kid is moving.
But Dennis,
Well, we let the data center people do it, because they got the money to buy the properties. And we let them, we show them the property and just say, look, I mean, you have to acquire it, but we've got the zoning ready for it.
Welcome to the Porter County Redevelopment Commission meeting for June 25th, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary Jane, would you please do roll call?
Barb Regetz.
Here.
Ralph Neff.
Here.
Jason Gilliana. Bill Herring.
Here.
Mike Brickner. Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please go through the consent agenda?
The consent agenda is the approval of the minutes of May 21st, 2024, with one correction to a spelling that Commissioner Herring pointed out that Deb's going to take care of. Financial report and claims.
Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. South Haven TIF update.
South Haven TIF, we have some exciting news. We've received our first TIF distribution, 2024. The total amount of that distribution is $6,385.13. The way that that is allocated is that 75% of it, or $4,788.85, goes to any potential future development. Allocation for schools is 15%, which is $957.77. And then RDC allocation at 10% of $638.51, for a total of $6,385.13 for activities in the South Haven TIF.
Okay, what's the difference between the 10% and the 75%?
The 75% is for future developments.
Okay.
So you could bond against it, you could actually save if you wanted over the years to do a cash development, but typically it's collected and used as collateral or equity for a bond issue.
Anybody have any questions on the tax distribution? Does that just go to the South Haven School District?
Portage School District, Portage Township.
Okay.
So Andy, I don't know if you, I can talk to the superintendent. Not a lot of money at this point. Whether you want to talk with me on how I could contact him and let him know, it's like $957. And we have this application that Stu prepared before for the school to.
Do we get one a year or 2 a year?
You will get two. You will get your fall installment. So by the end of the year, there might be close to 2,000
Okay.
in the account.
Very good.
Yes, we can do it. Would you like me to contact her and have her contact you to the details of what to
Perfect.
do? We can do that.
Thank you. The next report I have is the update from the South Haven TIF Activation Committee. We met on the 20th of September, of June, to discuss what our next steps might be. And it seems to be that there's a common thread that we have, that maybe an appropriate path forward is, at this point in the development process, to prepare an RFP for the land valuation so that we know who's interested in participating in this on land that is zoned industrial, and then also to have an engineer put together a concept plan based on the land evaluation data that's gathered, to see what it would look like in terms of a road, sewer, and infrastructure and things like that. And I don't know, I spoke to Andy for a few minutes, and he might comment.
Yeah, so I think the path forward, the best route is, as Mary Jane said, let's get some things prepared for it. Once it becomes something that becomes even somewhat marketable, that we could reach out to different developers, and we can say, look, this land, here's the area that's within the TIF. The property may or may not be for sale. We believe it is. And if you're interested in it, then we allow them to contact those property owners like they do on most other projects. And but the idea is at least we could sell them on the concept, the area, and the possibilities for whatever they may be interested in doing. This would be a great location for that.
Well, it seems like that's really a two-part thing, a two-phase thing. First, we need to find out who's even open to selling, right? Or to developing in conjunction with us, right? So it's really one of those. And so we need an RFP to find out who would be willing to do that.
Right.
Because Bill, the realtor that you had suggested, is too busy and he can't do it.
Right.
So we need to find somebody who's willing to meet with the landowners, start negotiations.
Yeah, but I'm almost at the belief at this point, let the developers meet with those landowners. I think we can assemble it and say, look, this is what our concept would be for this property. Because money talks, right? I mean, we're not in the business of buying the property. We're not developers. But let them do that. That's a common thing that happens.
Is it? Okay.
So we say, this is the area, here's what the zoning is, here's your electrical, your water, everything you would want is there. We believe these property owners would be open to a discussion about selling their property, and then let the developer move forward that way. I mean, I think that's a good route to try.
Okay. So what kind of firm would actually bid on this RFP that would put together this concept plan? What kind of person is that, with what kind of qualifications?
Well, the concept plan, I believe we can probably do in-house, right? Is that,
I don't know, Mike, that's.
Mike, I mean, is that what you
Bailey.
think?
We could do it in-house.
Okay.
So then once we have that, then we can write up that RFP and it'd be something that then we can solicit developers with.
Based on our last meeting we had, I did follow up on the broker that I brought to your guys' attention. It seems to me, what makes this area different than other TIFs that I'm involved with, and Andy, probably you too, you got so many small and large owners. And if it's going to turn out to be a checkerboard thing, then it may be difficult to develop in the way that we would envision it to be. My suggestion to the committee that we met last week was the gentleman that Andy brought for us to talk to, it sounds like he doesn't have the time at this point. I am talking to a local broker who is interested in possibly providing us a service to approach each and every of the owners so we can get a pulse on where they're at. And then maybe we can go, I think a developer would appreciate having information like that. Wouldn't you agree, Andy?
Yes.
And he works in a team, so it's not him by himself. He has people that work for him. I met with him yesterday. He's interested. He's not said yes yet. I'll give him the information, and he can craft a proposal and let us know what we think of it, if that's another way you want to go.
What I would add to the discussion is, I think if we want to start, in my mind, if you're requesting, doing a request for proposals, we can do some mock-ups internally, but the checkerboard makes it difficult for contiguity of development under that scenario. I think we need to at least contact, and I'm looking at, in my mind, I have, here's the TIF area, here's 6, that's north, from here to here, we need to either be able to say, you can start here, and this parcel is available, or you're gonna start over off of whatever it's really called, Bay Road, I think, right?
Baku? Well, yeah. It's the next one over after Baku.
You can come in off of Bay, and this property owner and this one are okay, or you're coming off of 6, and it accesses you back to here, and these are okay. Some part or piece of that, so that if we know there's no property owners that want to play ball over off of Bay or off of 6 or whichever it is, we can then scope back to, okay, we know the existing area plus this parcel, you know, is 75 acres or whatever the magic answer is, they're available. I think that's a task we can give staff to go do a concept plan for. Whether it's to the west, the east, or, you know, heading north from 6 up to a base to start. Then our hope would be we get one of the areas to start.
Right.
And then we build off of it from there. Then we can, even then, you can go back to property owners and say, now that this isn't theoretical, and you can see some of the things that are happening, as you know, everyone that's been involved, people's minds start to change. But I don't know how we request, you know, put yourself in the shoes of a developer. Here's this great parcel, there's the utilities, there's the road access, there's the zoning, but we have no idea if any of these people can even sell their property or want to. I think coming back and saying, we know at least a foothold here, or a foothold here, or a foothold here. Now, Mark, now give us a proposal based off that. That would be my suggestion, so people have something to work with.
That's kind of the direction I was headed with this particular broker. Let him go talk to the people, find out what their limits are.
Yeah.
They speak the language. You're gonna get apples, oranges, bananas, and pears, of course. But at least we know what the playing field is.
Well, and I like that idea too, because once you start and you get that development going, that's the thing, you gotta start, you know, you gotta have
Right.
that initial toehold.
But you don't want to ruin your future for, like, you know, the problem that I see you see a maze of all these parcels. And if you allow this guy to chew the entire frontage of US 6, you just cut off your access to US 6, for example. I'm not saying you're going to get it 100%, but I think we need a little bit more information to make high-level decisions.
Yeah, you don't want landlocked stuff.
Well, if we need to insist on connectivity between parcels as they get developed, we need to know that.
We can make
very
that the
big-
parameters.
Make that, you know, or not, so that we don't all of a sudden have a turnaround and we got to find another access off 6 or something. But I think we need, you know, in my mind, if we were coming off of 149 and we had somewhere between 100 and 150 acres, we knew you know, people were interested. I think you can market that or any of those areas. I just think it's hard as a more of a shotgun approach to the whole area.
And I
Which
think-
is why you were bringing up talking to the property owners so we have an idea.
Just get a pulse.
Just get a pulse.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if we got someone to do that, that's a great approach.
Yeah.
I mean, we put together a list of all the parcels and their owners, and we've identified all the industrial zoning, which I'd be happy to give to you, and you can maybe, or if you give me Matt's name, I can just email this to Matt. I've looked him up online if you'd like.
We have the same information you got, yeah.
So we can share that. Is there something like you want to put like on a idea for a cost, like a maximum amount or something, so that we can have something to discuss, or?
Well, how I left it with this broker was that we'd like something by your next meeting, that you could act.
Well, do you have another committee meeting coming up?
We have another committee meeting July 9th.
Do you think that you could have a decision by July 9th?
Maybe, we'll see. And we were talking about doing it hourly rate, maximum not to exceed. I think that's fair for both parties.
Okay. That's great.
I mean, if you wanted to make that available, but yes, we can discuss it at our next committee meeting.
And maybe if it's yes, he could come to your committee also,
Yes, of course.
he or she. Okay, anything else on, you have any other committee updates?
That is it.
That's it? Okay, Okra grant opportunities.
There are 2 Okra grant opportunities that might be of interest. There is an owner-occupied rehabilitation grant that they are now taking applications for that that area in South Haven would be eligible for. It is to do interior and exterior work to the homes. And I didn't know if there was any interest in pursuing that. Having visited the neighborhood and walking it, there might be some homes we could, and people we could identify that could benefit from it.
So what are you asking of us, if there's any interest? Because this would be homeowners, right?
Correct. It would,
So,
if it's worth pursuing with Okra, to ask them about the project, because we have single-family homeowners in the income-eligible area.
mhm.
And there would be a match to it, of course. There's like an 80-20 match, 80% federal, 20% local. So
So who's paying the 80%?
federal Okra.
Wow, and that's big.
So, and it depends
And then,
on all the meeting all the criteria, right? So it could fluctuate.
what would our involvement be, other than you researching it?
Providing the match.
We would have to provide the match.
You would have to provide the local match.
What kind of match are they talking, Mary?
Pardon me?
What kind of match are they talking?
20%, but that could vary, like I said, depending on the, how you score. Correct.
So to sweeten.
So that's all variable.
Match more.
You could match more, you'd be more competitive, depending on how many houses and how many owners we had that were interested.
And this would be for what kind of improvements?
Exterior and
Like-
infrastructure type, hot water heaters, plumbing, windows, roofs, code. Specifically, we try to deal with like code violations, if you will, things that are not getting repaired, maybe gutters that are falling off, windows, no screens, exterior work to the home, and interior infrastructure.
Mary Jane, or maybe the board members, in the past, have we done anything in the form of like facade grants for the commercial areas in that area?
We
When
tried.
he was here, he tried to do a facade grant for the Highway 6 corridor.
Yeah,
He went actually business to business, and just, it was not successful.
Really?
It was not successful.
so let me ask you this, if you were to pursue this, does the homeowner actually have to do the application and indicate what it is? How do homeowners find out about this?
What we would do is use either postcards, door hangers on the doors to let people know, leave a phone number, an email address. They would contact myself as the contact, and we would describe to them, they would tell us what they need on their house. My roof leaks, for example, or I have broken windows, or I have no windows because I have cardboard on my windows. And then with that, we would just note that and see if we can give them a 2-week period maybe to respond to us, and see if we can gather enough interest in the neighborhood to do it.
And then, so let's say you have 50 people respond.
Let's say I have 50 homes. Out of that, maybe I get 30 that are eligible for the type of work they want done. And then we would put together a proposal.
For those 30 homeowners with what they want, need,
Correct.
and then you,
That are within the guidelines, right?
they're within the guidelines, right?
Correct.
Who comes up with the guidelines?
Okra gives them to us in the application. It's very specific on what they allow
Can you
and
get a
how much
copy
they allow.
by chance?
Sure. I can send it to you. I think I should be able to download it.
Thanks.
Is there any kind of validation process? I mean,
We'll have to
like,
validate
say I want
income.
2 new water heaters.
We'll have to validate income.
Well, no, that's to get the grant. But for the items they want to work on, Is there,
The part of the process, should we be successful, I'll jump to this, let's assume we find people who are interested, and we determine that the work they want done on their home are eligible,
right,
and Okra funds it.
yeah,
Then what we would do is create an application. They would have to fill out the application, and we would all agree on what actual work will be done, and then we would bid the project. They do not.
oh,
It becomes
wait for the
county
second ballot.
applicant, so then the County Redevelopment Commission or commissioners would actually bid, we would group bid them. You can put 4 or 5 houses together. For example, if there are 30 houses and we have 20 roofs, we might bid all the roofs together at the same time. You might choose to bid all plumbers together, or you might just choose to bid in blocks of 5 houses at a time. And it includes everything: roofs, plumbing, heating, cooling, siding, windows, doors, screens, sidewalks.
Any cap on, I mean, you could practically rebuild a house.
I did not read the actual application, so I can't tell you that. It's possible it could be.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Why don't you send us that information, and we can discuss this again at our next meeting. So we wouldn't even know what our exposure is until, I mean, let's say that we know that we have X number of people that need a new roof, X number of people need new water heaters, whatever, but we don't even know what our exposure is. So now we're applying for a grant, and let's say we're only going to do 20% of a local match, but we don't know what our exposure could potentially be and how much we're going to have to kick in for a match, right?
A way to structure that is, going back to Bill's question, we could say that you're only going to do 20,000 per household.
And then they need to kick in a portion.
And then we determine, based on the amount of work that they need done, if their roof is the most important thing that needs to be done, and it meets and cures a code violation, then we do their roof. If their roof is serious and it costs $20,000, then that's all they get done.
Can you guesstimate what the universe is that this would even apply to in this case?
I want to say about, let me do my income survey really, really fast. I had to mandatorily survey 214 households. So my brain's not working, so I'll have to, I can tell you that, I just can't tell you it right now. Yeah. But it would just be the project area, but I can send it to you, I have it. I know how many households are in the area.
And then let's say that we decide to do this, and we tell you, but we're only willing to kick in X amount of dollars. Then, how will you then decide how many of those people that are applying actually, would you say, okay, everybody, you get a piece of the pie, but you don't get 100%?
Then I would probably reverse it. I would just say that we're only willing to put in $100,000. So we cap it at 10,000 a household, and now we can only just do the math. We can only do that many households.
Okay.
And we can only do this much in terms of cost for each household.
Okay. All righty.
If the point is to try to help people who have situations that are anything from the roof's leaking and it's getting overrun by whatever, versus some person that just would like a bigger water heater, I would think you could try to put some sort of structure to it that says, these are needier people than these people. I mean, you're already going through a sieve that sorts out income, and I think you would.
Correct. We
another
prioritize the work. I mean,
Yeah.
the first thing we do always are like code violations. If there's a
Well, yeah,
roof,
that's what I was looking for is,
screens on the windows, or if there is no glass in the windows, or if
yeah.
whatever those violations may be, we check those first, and those are all take priority. And
I mean-
there is no cosmetic work. We don't do carpeting, we don't do painting walls, we don't do,
Well, given that, then I would think the way you would then say what our cap would be, it would go to the neediest and the most out of,
the The most in disrepair, right?
Yeah.
The most, the homes that are, typically those are older homeowners
Yeah.
that are just unable to, being on fixed incomes, unable to afford the repairs.
And if you start with the neediest and the most out of code and everything else, and you say, I'm gonna spend 100,000, then it's what 100,000 you run out at, then the guy doesn't get his new water heater.
Well, the one thing that I do like, regardless, is not giving something completely away. Every person has to contribute something. Otherwise, they don't have any skin in the game, and, it was free, and things that are free, people tend not to value. So I do like the idea of anybody who is a recipient that is not 100% covered. It could be 99% covered, and they have to kick in $100 or something, but, they do have to kick in something.
Okay.
That's just me personally. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Well,
Typically, the ones that I've done, they haven't, because of their income limitations, the program is designed to assist them between the local match and the federal dollars. But we could certainly look at doing something in addition to that and see if Okra would agree with that.
Okay. So Ralph asked you for,
The application.
does the application, no, the guy, with
or the guideline.
the Okra,
So they have,
the Okra thing?
yes.
Yeah.
And then I think we'd like to see the application too, as well. That we have to fill out and that the homeowner would have to fill out.
We will create the homeowner application.
Oh, we will, okay, okay,
That's our responsibility,
okay, all righty.
determine the homeowners. And then the other program is kind of an interesting one. Lieutenant Governor Crouch is very supportive of mental health. It's a very small amount of money she's dedicated. It is $200,000, and their projects range in a minimum of $5,000 and a maximum of $50,000. And it's to create, deal with the isolation that people feel and their mental health. And so they're trying to create engagement of people within your community. So the South Haven community would be eligible. The library has lots of programs and it's a good place for engagement. And
Is there a Y?
Pardon?
YMCA? Is there a YMCA?
not that I'm aware of. I work with the library. I think the YBMCA is in the city of Valpo.
Well, there-
Not in this
There's
particular,
one in Portage, but it's on the north side.
pardon?
Is there one in Chesterton? I just don't know how close that is to South Haven.
That geography I'm not sure about. So I was just thinking of maybe talking to the library and see if there's anything you could do in that community, or the Porter Township trustee.
Is she only giving a total of $200,000 for the entire state?
Yeah.
Oh,
More on the smaller scale, something to encourage, interaction between neighbors and businesses and the community and children and youth. And the library kind of does all of that.
Yeah. Oh, and they are about to do a ribbon cutting on their library garden for South Haven.
South Haven Library?
Yeah,
Pretty neat.
yeah. So that actually is a great idea in conjunction with I think that's going to be in August. Have you been to the library garden here in Valparaiso?
Yes, I wrote the grant for that. It was a blight clearance project through Okra, the city of Valparaiso.
Wow.
And,
Well, our Rotary Club it's the Rotary Library Garden, so, yeah,
certainly were.
cool. I think that's great. So what do you need from us to be able to pursue that? And how much could we get of that 200,000 were we to be successful? Is there a max?
Don't know. I have to, in order for anybody to apply for this one, you have to deal with your local liaison, which is Jerry White. But you have to have a partner. And so I was wondering if it was okay to talk to the library about them being our partner. And I think Jesse's very interested.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I would then take Jesse's idea and go talk to Jerry White and see what comes of it.
Does anybody have a problem with that? Cool. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we, Scott? Okay, project updates.
All right. And then inside your,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, 2024 meeting dates, I
all
apologize.
right, we got to
Skipped
get
over.
the meeting dates straight. The meeting dates are not straight in Mary Jane's mind. So we have a proposed calendar, and I put it in your packets. The July date is changed to July 30th, so that's the one change. And then September, the time is changed. It's 3:30 and not 4 o'clock. So for the balance of the year, if you would approve the calendar, then I can get it on the website correctly, because I was talking to Barb, and apparently there was some inconsistencies on the schedule that was posted, and so we could remedy those inconsistencies with a approved calendar.
Okay, we do need to vote on the calendar though, right? Okay. A motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the calendar for July through December. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. On project updates, there is the Rail Summit that we talked about last month. And the Rail Summit, there's a dinner the night of July 9th, and then the event is July 10th. And we are partnering with the City of Valparaiso Chamber of Commerce, Rex Richards. And is there any interest in anyone from the commission who would like to go that we can share?
Well, I would encourage people to come, because this is not so much about meeting people who are in the rail industry. It's about meeting businesses that are looking for locations where they can take advantage of rail opportunities. So I think it's a really good opportunity from a networking perspective. It's an awareness of a Porter County being a place for companies to move to, because we have, and Rex was telling me this, we do have rail spurs, like by the MAC and different locations in Porter County, where companies that do need that rail access, it's a valuable asset that we have here.
So we can leave it if anybody's interested, if they maybe let me know, like before the 4th of July, if possible. And that way I can let Rex know.
Anybody know for sure if they want to go or they don't want to go? And you want to let her know right now? Moving on. Want to talk about next item on the agenda?
Next item on the agenda is the the Lido meeting that I attended. It was the first one I attended virtually. Northwest Indiana Forum sponsors those meetings. Andy was also there. And the meeting topics included an extensive discussion on the, CURPC's agricultural plan. CURPC has decided that it is important to develop agricultural strategies for their rural regions. So they self-select different regions in their area, which is included in a multi-county area, and they start looking at businesses, agribusinesses, to attract to that area. Food processing facilities, supply chain facilities that fit with the region's capacities and their needs. And then they also had a really long discussion, in addition to the agribusiness discussion. I'm switching gears rather fast, but to the change in high school graduation rates. The state of Indiana, or graduation requirements, high school graduation requirements. The state of Indiana is looking to be the first state in the country to change the high school graduation requirements. I think Andy's a good person to talk to that if you want to just talk about it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, so if you're not aware, the state of Indiana has, currently you have Core 40 graduation requirements, and you have academic honors, are the two main ones. The Core 40 is your basic, which has got certain requirements on how many math classes, how many science classes, et cetera, you have to have. The state has decided to do away with both of those, and they have two diplomas they're proposing. One's a GPS and one's a GPS plus. The GPS lowers the graduation standards from the core 40 to a minimal. Like you have to have one math class in high school, one science class, with the idea that kids will have the opportunity to take more work-related type of courses. And then they did away with the academic honor and replaced it with these GPS, and don't ask me what GPS stands for, I can't remember off the top of my head, GPS plus.
Yeah, plus.
Graduation pathways, yeah. So the GPS plus is similar to the GPS, except now the students have to have 75 hours of work-related experience to graduate. So all sounds fine and wonderful. It helps prepare more kids for the workforce. But what it does is those kids who want to go to college now do not have a very good pathway to get to secondary education because, first off, the standards now to graduate high school in Indiana will be so low, even our state schools won't accept them. You don't have those academic honors courses. It'll kill the arts in the schools. It'll kill music class. I mean, those kind of things will go by the wayside. So we as school boards, and our school board, Portage Township Schools, passed a resolution last night that we're sending to our representatives that the GPS are fine, but not as a replacement. We still need that academic honors diploma and the pathways for the kids who do intend on going to college and secondary education. Because the state's doing a complete turnaround and basically saying we don't care about those kids anymore. We just want kids with to have work experience. So it's going to cause a problem with teachers because you'll have fluctuation in classes from year to year based off because there's going to be so many elective classes kids can take, and now so many they won't have to have gym classes. They won't have to. I mean, there's so many things they won't need now. So everything's going to be an elective, and it's like I say, mostly all centered around being work-related and those work-related experiences. So how do you get a school system our size, 6,800 kids, how do you get those 600-700 seniors or juniors, how are you going to find jobs for them to get their 75 hours, right? It's almost, I mean, where's that going to come from the community? Who's going to supply? How are you going to transport these kids, right? Not every kid has a car. So what it's going to do to the schools is just disastrous. Their plan is to begin this with the class that's graduating 2029, which are 7th graders now, 8th graders next year, and then this is supposed to be implemented. So our ask is there needs to be a lot more discussion. Maybe there's you don't get rid of what we currently have. You can add that because maybe that is a great pathway for a lot of kids, but not at the expense of the kids who want to take dual credit courses and have the college as their career path. So it's the only state in the country that's doing something like this. It's kind of scary.
That's a big change. And the only state in the country. None of that's been tested, as Andy pointed out. They don't even know if colleges would accept them.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. The kids aren't going to, they won't be prepared to go to college, those who want to.
You know, it seems a little odd that they would do this in lieu of rather than in addition to. I mean, I don't have a problem with a little more of the back to the VOTEC style of things. And there's the core curriculum, and that's one way to go, and then honors would be another way to go. But to take out the core sounds like they're rolling the dice.
And you're also asking kids at 8th grade or freshmen to kind of define which path they're going. Which degree are you going to pursue now, right?
Yeah, most kids don't know that until they're a senior in college.
They graduate college and don't know that. I just
Well, it's going to put an incredible amount of pressure on the guidance counselors, too.
It's going to put tremendous pressure on the schools, the guidance counselors. I just don't think, there's not a lot of communication about it. I don't think parents know this is happening. And so what we're trying to do is say we need to get that word out, and which is why we passed a resolution, and we'll be communicating with everyone in our district. I mean, you need to call your legislators and say, time out. This isn't good. This isn't good.
It's coming from
The Department of Education.
Department of Education at the state level, right?
Yes.
And I think the timeline was discussed too, that they want to accomplish this by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah, they want to have, by the end of the year, they want to have this in place and ready to begin. Which is crazy too, nothing goes that fast.
Sounds bizarre.
So, that's my soapbox on it.
And it would, impact the way, we educate our students for our workforce, for our economic development activities. Yeah, so the next project update I have is Next Level Connections for grant awards. In the past, the Redevelopment Commission has funded like a survey to determine where there are locations in rural areas of Porter County that are in need of broadband. Surf Internet received award amount of $2,929,864.50 for Porter and LaPorte counties. Surf will match that with $8,794,000.
Who's matching?
Surf Internet.
Oh, okay.
They'll match that with $8,794,302. So their total investment in broadband will be $11,724,166. Out of that, they intended to do 270 addresses in Porter County, but they were only able to fund 9 of them. So it's some, but not very much. And the addresses are along South 300 East and East 700 South. So here's a small map of 9 addresses.
Are there any other ISPs that are in the running?
Not that I'm aware of, they applied, but they weren't funded. I only know that this was the only one that was funded.
And where is the rest of it going?
LaPorte County got the other biggest chunk of it.
I saw that they were on 150 East, Surf was, doing a lot of work and, pulling fiber, so,
And they could be doing that with some other funding that I'm not
yeah, right,
or with their own dollars.
yeah.
But the survey that we did last year was to help fund the,
Correct.
to get funding for this Next Level Connections for
Yeah.
Porter County residents. Got some. I don't know if there's any questions on that I could answer, but. And the next topic is Project Ribeye. I've been in contact with the developer of that project. The actual grant award announcements have been delayed, and he's in contact with Congressman Mervan's office and is working with them to keep track of when the funds will be awarded, and there could be news this week.
There could be,
News this week.
oh, this week, okay.
It was supposed to be the beginning of June, and now it was changed to the end of June, which we are at currently. I'm anxiously awaiting for a phone call from the developer to see what happens. And then I put on there, I shared with you an article from the Northwest Indiana Times on the fact that the Brassey Golf Course was being looked at as a data center. And so there seems to be interest in Porter County, so that's just why I shared the article. You probably knew about that, but I read it and thought, well, that's a good thing, that people are looking at Porter County. And then I did meet, next topic is Indiana Dunes Tourism. I met with, upon the suggestion of Commissioner Regetz, with Christine Livingston, who's the director there. And she has an interesting approach that she wants to share with people about how to connect economic development and tourism, because she feels that they have the brand Indiana Dunes, and anybody can use that brand. And they've designed specific campaigns to attract people, for example, like the coffee tour, to get people to go to all the different coffee shops, and then at the end get some sort of prize or award for people to go visit various different sites in the area. And she feels that business should be able to use that branding as well, because now that it's a national park, people come because it is a national park. And she's also explained that that is not copyrighted in any way. Whatever brand and logo that they use, she said, can be freely used by anyone. She encourages anyone and everyone to use that on their promotional materials because there is no copyright.
Would you mind sending that, what that looks like to everybody? I know what it looks like. I've got it outside my door, but I think that would be cool just for people to see what that looks like. And you're right, and I think that's a great initiative that she's undertaking in terms of just alerting business owners, because it is a huge draw. And those businesses that do promote the Indiana Dunes and tourism, they tend to get more business than businesses that don't. And that's actually a proven statistic, so.
Correct. That's what she had also stated when she looks at her data.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference, so feel free to use it. I'll send it, feel free to use it. And then last thing on my list is the INDOT, which I'm sure Mike knows about, has their safety improvement program that's available right now. They have $50 million in highway safety improvement funds to support improvements on local road and street networks. And just wanted to get your attention.
Mike, do you want to talk about that at all?
We're currently in discussions with NERC, who can be a grantee of the funds. And they're having discussions with Porter County, LaPorte County, and Lake County, all of us together, to see if we want a team together, which would strengthen our position. The funds that Mary Jane talks about comes in 2 stages. You can get planning grants or implementation. In order to get construction or implementation grants, you have to have a traffic safety master plan. So what we're going to do is put in for a traffic safety master plan, which would then open us up. It's all based on the infrastructure bills that was passed 2 years ago. I think they have, up in the first 2 years, they were not able to give out the yearly allotment out people were putting in. This is a nationwide competition. So short of it is, we're meeting. If the 3 counties don't put it together, we're going to go after it ourselves.
Nice. Anybody have any questions about that? Hey, you may not know this at all, and this is a curveball because I didn't let you know. I'm just curious, has there been anything on the double tracking yet? Has anybody given out any stats in terms of favorable, not favorable? What is going on with that project?
I don't know, but I can look it up.
Okay.
I'd be happy to for you.
Has anybody anecdotally here heard of anything? Okay, any other items anybody wants to bring up? You?
Woods Edge?
What? Oh, yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
So we have been approached to consider doing a residential TIF. It would be the Woods Edge subdivision off of Joliet. It obviously has not been built yet. It's an infill project that's about 90-ish single-family homes. I think the exact number is 92. Looking for a scenario in which we would do that residential TIF. Have spoke to the developer and his counsel. They understand the limitations of a residential TIF as it relates to the 1% tax cap and all the exemptions that occur. And that's a fancy way of saying residential TIFs don't generate a lot within their allocation area, but they do generate some. He's aware of that, the developer. And he's looking to be able, and he's looking for some help on the costs of his infrastructure that's going in. This project has been with the county in one form or fashion probably for 7 years as it's wound through the process. So this just came up. I think the meeting was last week when the request occurred. So I wanted to bring it up at tonight's meeting to get everybody in the same boat as far as knowledge goes. But ultimately, that would be the request, would be to start the process, look at the numbers, start the process on a potential residential TIF for Woods Edge subdivision. And ultimately, it would be to help to defray some of the infrastructure costs. As this project was started the process before all of the most recent significant inflation, that's part of the request, is that the infrastructure costs themselves have gone up significantly from when this, have more than doubled since this project first started through its process. The developer is aware that if we did a residential TIF and let's say the schools flowed through, and let's say we were again something like the South Haven TIF that we did, we would be maybe in that 10 or 15, 20% of the take. And then the remainder would be for the developer to get back after he bought the bonds, and then he would get the payments on a yearly basis too. So his payback would be over that 20-year period. Obviously, it's difficult on a residential TIF because not only on the exact numbers, because the numbers were going to be dependent on how fast those 92 lots build out. Okay, so and the actual term of the financing is going to be a fixed term. So. But even all of that, knowing the limitations of what necessarily could be generated, the developer wanted to attempt to start that process. So
today, do we need to give authorization for Mary Jane to kick this off? Because I know we're going to need to bring Dan Bodich in. We're going to need to approve a contract. And then at some point, bond counsel, possibly Baker Tilly.
Yeah, I think right now we just need to get Mary Jane assigned to start working up some numbers with, I believe we've already have a contract with Dan Bodich at the beginning of the year. Have him start working on some numbers, and so we can put some facts in front of the board as far as it's 92 lots. We're kind of estimating this much of assessed valuation that's going to be created. We think the build out is about this long. If we did a 70-30 and the 30 was 15 to the school and 15 to the county, what does that produce for everybody along the road as far as that goes in the school? Also, see if the developer is still interested, see if we're interested, and then that way we could go and start going through that process.
Do you know what school that would benefit in that case? I don't know where that is.
Center.
What?
Be Valpo School.
Valpo, okay.
Yeah. And then that way we could put the information in front of everybody and actually get a little bit past the concept part of this and get into some numbers and some ideas and what will be going on. And we need Mary Jane and Mr. Bodich to be able to be activated to do that so we can bring it back and say, hey, this is what it's starting to look like. Is this something the board would like to do or not? And if so, then here's the next steps to go ahead and create the area and the plan and go through the process to get approved. We did a little bit of research this afternoon, and we believe it's the same path. It's here, plan to commissioners, back to here for this particular tool. So wanted to give everybody that update, but that's a potential, and I would request that the board authorize Mary Jane and Dan Bodich to start to put the preliminary information together so the board can have something beyond my very non-detailed explanation, because frankly, none of us have any more information than that at this point.
Can I ask the board too, would you like for the developer to come to our next meeting just to see if we have questions?
I don't know if it's the next meeting.
Okay.
Because because we're gonna have to do some information sharing, and then we're gonna have some number crunching and
Okay.
things like that. And I think probably everybody's gonna wanna see, okay, what are we really talking about? What's the payback to the developer? What's the
Okay.
school gonna get? What's the county gonna get? What can the county use that money for? You know, what's the development time? And just get a little bit of that base information. Because then, once we have that, then we probably will have questions for the developer. But at this stage, I'm not sure we have enough of the basic information. And we can do barbaric math in our heads, 92 lots times probably $500,000 at a minimum, start reducing down for homestead credits and things like that. But there's quite a bit of a math problem to be sorted out with some assumptions to be made within it to allow the math to be useful for us here.
So I know the city of Portage is working on that now. Dan Bowditch actually is running those numbers. A little different approach in that we're not doing it to help with infrastructure, because traditionally developers put their own infrastructure in when they create a subdivision and sell their lots. But to help bypass that 1%, to gain that increment to help pay for the additional police and the fire and the street department and those services that all these new subdivisions are bringing in. So that's our approach to it, is to generate that extra money to just help pay for more city services, take care of it, not to help the developer. So there's two ways to look at that.
Well, and I think also uniquely, I think you're highlighting the difference between the two redevelopment commissions.
Yes.
We're gonna be in a position where we only can use this in this area, and this ain't gonna be a large area. Where the city, when they add, because you basically, it's all joined,
That's right.
it's able to supplement city services. So that's
Yeah.
a stellar plan for a city. It's much more difficult for us, but your point, though, is that's another way of looking at the apple. It's using the tools in that scenario to the best for the city. Does this work best for us in the county? So that's a good point.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion to approve Mary Jane kicking off this project?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Mary Jane to begin work on this project. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Would you like anybody on the board to help you with this in any way? Between now and next month's meeting?
I will contact Dan and find out what he needs
Okay,
and have a list of things, information that we have to gather from the developer for him.
okay. All righty,
And then I'll email all of you that information.
okay, great.
Scott, a question. How close are they? Because our department's done a lot of reviews. I think they finally got their approvals, or at least substantial. When are they wanting to start? Because one of the costs is, for all the public infrastructure, we ask for a breakdown as a normal course of fare. And I just want to make sure that that was available, because I think that's the document you'd have to base your costs on.
My understanding is they would, if this board has that appetite, they'd like to go as fast as possible. And I think, at least in the casual discussions we've had, the infrastructure was somewhere between 6 and 6.5 million in total.
They're supposed to provide.
Today.
Yeah, they're supposed to provide us an itemized on that at the beginning anyway.
Right. And just to be clear, the developer is sophisticated enough that he does not believe that it's gonna generate anything close to 6.5 million on the payback. But, so I don't want anyone to, some of the first questions I got was, those two aren't gonna meet, and he's aware of that.
And depending at the rate at which he's able to get those houses in, it could be less than,
It could be. But it'll be motivation to have those lots sold and built
yeah.
on. So, some benefits of
By
that.
the way, do you know what the density is in terms of,
It's all single-family residential.
but is that RR, is it R1?
Well, it's on city utilities, so some of the lots are the smallest we can have in the county, but
Oh,
they're still larger than city lots normally.
okay,
We have most of their development plans, so if you guys need to look at them,
okay.
we'll file already.
Okay, any other items? I'm so sorry that I forgot we were here. We spent an hour talking about this before this meeting and then totally slipped my mind. Okay, we are now on to public comment. Larry, if you would like to come up and make any, oh, come on up and just say hi. Okay, our next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, July 30th, 2024 at 4 p.m. And we are in recess. Thanks, everybody.
4th of July, everybody.
But I would really love at some point in time for somebody on this board